want to talk about something. I want you guys to not want what everybody else has, just because you see somebody with it and you think you gotta have it. I remember last year I was on a contract around this time, and I was making decent money, like really good money. So I'm like, you know what? It's time to upgrade my lifestyle because I'm seeing these nurses on TikTok, especially the new grads. They're like, oh, I got my new grad job. I'm making all this money and I'm going to get me a Benz. Like that's what a lot of these new grad nurses are doing. They're getting Benzes, they're getting BMWs, Teslas, all that, right? Excuse me. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not a new grad, but like I'm in a decent place in life financially. Let me go and just do something for myself. So I'm like, I'm gonna upgrade my life and move from where I was staying to in a different apartment. So the place I was staying was in like a duplex. So I had somebody above me. Pause. And but it was like a house, but it was a duplex technically. But duplexes are technically side by side. This was a bottom and a top. So I was on the bottom. Pause. And I had a neighbor. He was super nice. I mean, always looked out for me. All my neighbors really. Always super nice. Sorry, y'all got a text. I need to get this out of the way. So he was super nice. Always looked out for me. All of them did. Made sure when I left to like go traveling that they would take my mail and make sure that it was safe. Make sure my place was looked after. Like I had some awesome neighbors. And mind you, I live downtown. Okay, that's important. So I'm like, you know what? But this is a small place. I've been here for almost, 3 years. By this time, like it's time for me to go a little bigger. It's time for me to go a little bigger, and it's time for me to get a real apartment. Because mind you, this is a fully furnished, like technically a short-term rental. It was for travel nurses, and I technically was only going to stay there until my the job that I moved up there 3 years ago for ended, which was technically supposed to be a 6-month deal. Ended up the job is still going on, but I left to travel, as y'all know. So with that being said, stayed for a long time at that apartment, but I'm like, it's time to move on. I'm making good money. Let me find something. So I go to an apartment, like an actual apartment. Also, my place was fully furnished, and everything I paid was like one price. So I paid Wi-Fi, electric, all that. I paid one price for it. So I go to the apartment. The apartment, I kid you not, is like a minute drive from where I live because the apartment is downtown. I live downtown. I want to stay downtown. It was like a minute. I go to the apartment. They give me the prices. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Not only are they more expensive, which I knew they were going to be, but it was a little more than I really wanted to pay. And also, I got to pay for parking. $90 for parking. Are you kidding me? To park in a garage where I have to worry about my safety when I got a place a minute down the road, still in the same zip code, where I have 3 parking spots I can choose from because we have this huge driveway. But it was all because I saw people online, especially TikTok, these nurses just upgrading their lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with upgrading your lifestyle. I'll be honest with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The problem is this was a contract job. So if I decided to move out of my place and go pay, probably would have been 500 more than what I was paying to go live at this apartment, I still would have had to furnish the apartment. So I'm paying 500 more, plus I got to pay for furniture. And this is a contract job, which means I might not be making this money once the contract ends. And once the Holy Spirit had to drop that in my spirit and say, Joya, why are you doing this? Do you really care to go a minute up the road to pay for a parking garage when you literally have a huge driveway and your place is there's nothing wrong with it? Like it's safe, it's clean, like you have no issues. Your property company treats you right. Like, why? And it was all because I felt like I had to have what everybody else had. But like I said, it's nothing wrong with upgrading your lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with wanting more for yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking yourself from the projects to the palace, okay? But you got to make sure that you got it like that. Because I had to really think, like, once this contract ends, I don't know no jobs paying this money like a regular job. And once I realized that that's a stupid decision to go and move a minute up the street just so I can be in this high rise in downtown, I was just like, that's stupid. Because what happens if when this contract ends, I can't find another contract that pays what I'm making, and now I can't afford my rent, or I mean, bills are super tight. Like I'm basically having to skip meals to make ends meet. I'm like, why, why would I want to do that? Why don't I just stay where I'm at, finish out this contract, and see what happens after that, and then upgrade my life if I get a permanent job and I make decent money. But you want to know what happened? Life happened. This year happened. Contracts canceled. Unemployment months. You see what I'm saying? But if I had went and got that apartment, my God, I would be stuck like Chuck. Because at my old place, I only signed 3-month leases. So every 3 months I would renew my lease. For 3 years, I did 3 months every time. I never signed a 6-month lease. I never signed a year lease because I never knew how long I was going to be there. It just so happened that God worked it out for me to be there 3 years. But when I was away um, on the cruise ship, when I was working on the cruise ship, when I was working in the VI in the Virgin Islands, like I kept my place because I just never knew what was going to happen in life. They could have canceled those contracts early, and now I'm out of a place. You know what I mean? So sometimes we don't know what's going to happen in life, but we have to just kind of be wise and use wisdom, and not always go for the next best thing, because sometimes it may not even be a blessing. Because I'm like, oh man, I want this, like the view. I got a view of the city. I can see, Soda City, which is a farmer's market type thing, but it's really popular in Colombia. So like, I can see Soda City from my window if I get this place, and the places were nice. Like if I have some pictures and if I want, I'll insert it, but if I feel like it, I try not to edit these too crazy because it just takes time. But I was just like, man, it was nice. But I'm just like, what am I paying for? What am I paying for? I live in a super safe neighborhood. Like, I literally have the best neighbors. And mind you, nobody in my neighborhood is like under 60 years old. And nobody's black. Everybody's white. I was only like the black person in the neighborhood. And the only person under 60 years old in the neighborhood. But they treated me like, I can't describe it. So I pray whenever I move somewhere next, I get good neighbors. Because they just were so nice to me, so kind, super super kind, and I enjoyed my time in Colombia, but um, that time has come to an end, as I'm sure you guys have guessed. But we never know what the future holds. I have to tell myself that Colombia, Charlotte, the Carolinas aren't going anywhere. They're not just going to go off the map. So if that time comes in a few years and I have to move back, or I want to move back and I can, then we'll see what happens. But for now, we're in Florida and we're making it work. Making it work. So don't get caught up in the hype, y'all. If you're a new grad watching this, or just anybody, you can upgrade your life. I really want you to. But do it if you can do it and it's going to really do something for you. Don't do it because everybody else is doing it. Do it because you got a surplus of savings. Like once you upgrade your life, say you want to go from this apartment to that apartment, you're still going to have a surplus of savings. If you're going to be pinching pennies to go from that apartment to the next, don't do it. You need to build a little more. Get another source of income, because you don't want to upgrade your lifestyle and it feel like a burden because you're not really there, right? Because we say, oh, I can't afford it, but can you really afford it? Can you really afford it? Or is it something that you just think you can afford? Like, do the math. I want you to sit down and go through your finances and write down, if I move from X apartment to the next, what am I looking at in difference? So I hope that blesses somebody. If you're on the verge of doing something that you think is going to benefit your life, but you really don't know if it's going to benefit your life, take time, pray on it, and trust God. As always, y'all, stay grateful, stay faithful. I hope this video made sense. It's a lot going on between messages I'm getting, people in the back driving up and down the street. So I hope this makes sense. But y'all, yeah, peace.